Alright, let's get all of our head itching out of the way now. And realize once again we have no dog footage for the whole week. Crafty Puppy Podcast, coming to you from Southern Connecticut. You can find me everywhere online as Gabagales and all my hand-dyed yarn at Once Upon a Corgi. This is episode 70, so thank you so much if you are a returning viewer, and thank you very much if you are a new viewer checking us out. Both of the puppies are off sleeping somewhere, so it might be a kind of quiet episode. And I did try and get Jax he's been sleeping in this basket, so I moved it to the desk in hopes that it'll lower him into the frame a little bit more. I'll shoot this over a little bit. Yeah, we have a pretty light episode for you this week. Again, not a lot of knitting on a lot of different stuff, but we worked a little bit on a bunch of stuff. So let's kind of start getting into it. We have one event coming up, the I-91 Shop Hop, which is a yarn crawl put together by I don't know who. I'll put a link to their website or situation in the show notes, which you can find at the Once Upon a Corgi podcast group on Ravelry. One day I'll remember to put that in there. That is this weekend. It starts tomorrow, June 21st, and goes through Sunday, June 24th, and I will be attending it or traveling it with Mama Gergs and Adrian from the Freakish Lemon podcast starting Friday. So we're starting up in Vermont and working our way down to New Haven. We should be there on Sunday. And while this is going on, Once Upon a Corgi Handmade, my yarn store, will be having a trunk show at Knit New Haven in New Haven, Connecticut. So that's starting tomorrow and going through Sunday. And I will be there Sunday afternoon, probably for a couple hours, knitting and hanging out. Our plan is to get lunch and then go to Knit New Haven last. So if you want to come say hello, I will be there on Sunday. I think that's it for event stuff. The next big thing is the Super Summer Knit Together in Nashville, Tennessee. So you will hear me blub about that constantly for the next couple of weeks while we get ready. So let's get into the making bit. To start it off with, what am I wearing? I'm wearing the Betty dress by Sew Over at London. Stand up. With pockets in cotton and steel, organic cotton. And I made this last year. Now I need to fix my hair. I made this last March, right before we went on vacation. You gotta get me a tennis ball, bud. Yeah. We have one almost finished object this week. I will show you this week, so that when I forget next week, you've already seen it. And that is my movie socks. I no longer have the tag to this yarn, but it is a self-patterning, I believe it's an Italian brand yarn. Did I just pull my... Oh God, I just pulled all the stitches out. Mayday, mayday. Luckily it's pretty woolly. I believe it's 75-25 wool and polymade, nylon. It's got some sort of synthetic fiber in there. Well, this is a slight disaster. It's Italian or German. The label is in both. I'll see if I can find it in previous show notes while I do this botched bit. And I was ready to do the Kitchener on the toe. There we go. This one will be an afterthought heel because I got to the heel in the movies and did not plan ahead. So I just have to fix my toe, Kitchener it, and then I will pick up the stitches, do a true afterthought, and put in the heel. This guy has a fish lips kiss heel, I believe. Yeah. So, of course I don't have a sock blocker with me. Do I have any other socks to show? No. So here is the first one, which I remember to do the heel beforehand. And probably by the end of the day today, this will be finished. This will be my finishing project. I went through all of my whips and bags of just random yarn I found in the living room, and started to prioritize what needs to get finished because I need to finish some stuff. So this is number 1, and we are basically there. It's like a faux. It's a finished tapped object, but sort of finished object. You know, and that's just living in a mock-up bag. That was not a lot of information, but it's a pair of socks and it's done. Oh, I didn't put my ring on, hold on. Our next work in progress you saw last week, and this is our Birds of a Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry. We are knitting this out of Once Upon a Corgi yarns on our Fig Lace and Marie Cutie base. And here we are. We got through 2 more sections. This lace section's a little bit larger than what the pattern calls for. I didn't mark down where I was properly, so I kept going in the lace and then realized my mistake, so I just picked up with the Marie Cutie base instead of trying to rip out mohair. But here we are, we're about halfway through this lace section, and then off to, this mohair section, halfway through the mohair section, and then I think we have an actual lace patterned section. And this is in the Lady of Shalott colorway on both bases. And I'm knitting this on the recommended US 6 needles. And I'm using my Knitter's Pride Novas. And this has been my Tuesday knit group knit, so I worked on it a little bit last night. We'll work on it again next Tuesday, and that is living in a fat squirrel bag. There we go. I'm guessing this is one of her older ones. I haven't seen this pattern around in a long time, and I got it in a swap. Very, very quick stuff going on here. Our next work in progress, you haven't seen it in a little bit, but it is the Michelada top from Pom Pom issue number 13, I believe. It's a summer issue. And this is the front of it. So I took everybody's advice, and the back of it is up here, getting ready to be frogged. I'm probably gonna frog it and soak it and then recake it. And here is the top. So we have 1 more round of increases, and then we do the sleeves. So this is where we're at. I went up a needle size for the like seed stitch section. So I think that's giving me a little bit more growth, and it's gonna stretch a little bit more when I block it. So I think if I just follow the directions this time, it's gonna be long enough. So I don't have to worry about adding extra length or worrying if I'm gonna run out of yarn. But we're trying to do either a linen section or the this almost like ribby section a night to try and catch up to where we were. Cause I would like this for SSK. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's a nice dream. And this is, do I have a tag? I don't think I have a tag. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts on their Showstopper base, which is I believe 75/25 merino nylon in the Gothic Queen colorway. I think that's a pretty accurate. It's just this beautiful deep mauve rose color. I love it so much. I'm so excited. What I did differently this time is instead of trying to incorporate the increased stitches, I've just done garter on the sides because it's gonna be on the sides anyway, so no one's gonna see it. And when I have enough increases to add another puffy stitch thing, I will do that. So I think that's helping this out a lot more. And now all of the rows are lined up. Oh, that's back. Now all the rows are lined up. So I think it's going smoother this time. And I'm enjoying it more. I'm definitely enjoying it more. Is that a drop stitch? Did I drop a... Ugh, just kidding. I hate everything. Oh my God, when did I do this? Whatever. Oh, butts. Hold on. Put this progress keeper on that. Do a stitch count, I guess. Never mind. All confidence gone. This top is impossible and I'm never gonna manage it. I take that back. This might be a disaster. Who knows? We'll figure that out later. Do I have a drop stitch on this side too? No. Okay. So that is that. That is what I've been working on with that top. And the cat has been sleeping on the bag. So it is super covered in dog hair, cat hair. and it's a disaster. The last big project I have been working on, besides my shawl design, which I'm about halfway done with the border, so I'm starting to write up the pattern so I can get it out to a tech editor and put out a call for test knitters sooner rather than later. But I have been putting a huge dent in the baby blanket I am making for one of the ladies in my knit group. Her daughter is having her first baby, so I've decided to cast on a baby blanket. And this is out of a Loop Bump. It's a chain ply hand spun I did about 1.5 years ago. It's superwash merino and stellina. I believe there's nylon in there too. I don't know if I have the bag anymore. And I think it's Swamp Thing is the colorway. And I am just going in, I believe it's like the star. I know there's a pattern out there for a blanket like this, but I just looked up a like shawl recipe really for this shape, so I can just knit in circles and increase. So this is where we are at. It's about a DK to sport weight. I'm doing it on size 7 Knitter's Pride Dreams, and it doesn't feel too tight, and I think it's gonna black out really nicely. And I just figure it'll be a nice like car blanket or something. You can never have too many small blankets with babies. It's what I've heard. I have no idea. This is what I have left, so we still have a good amount to go. And this has been the most addicting knit ever because it's just knitting around and around and around. And now I just really want to knit on it. I'm probably going to take this with me on the shop hop to really get it going, because there will be lots of driving, and I know I'll be doing some of the driving, but not all of the driving. It's been a super enjoyable knit. I really like this section because the color changes are happening much faster. And I'm very excited to see how this goes. I would like it big enough to be like a tummy time blanket in case she needs something, but it might also just be a blanket that's at Nona's house, so we will see. The baby's not due until October, and I don't know if we're doing anything as a knitting group for her, but I'm sure we will figure something out around the time that her daughter has her baby shower. And it is living in my Stitching Plaza Corgi bag. So this is my Saturday morning knit group because she's not in that knit group. And that is why the Birds of a Feather is my Tuesday knit group. It's all God plan. It's all happening. And that is really it for my knitting. Again, I'm working on the design, but we are now in the process of writing up the pattern and double checking all the charts to get it out to a tech editor so we can get a call out for test knitters. I was hoping to do all that after SSK, but I think I know what's gonna happen enough with the border that I can start getting the pattern ready. I do plan on having the shawl done by early July so I can gift it to my friend at her wedding shower. That gives us plenty of time, I think. Yeah, I try and do 2 or a couple repeats of the lace chart every day just to kind of get it moving, but we were exactly halfway there. So close yet so far. But we did do some sewing, sort of. I did finish my Ariel skirt. This is Barnaby if you're new. It's my friend's wedding veil, and she threw it at me so I could see how veils are made / use any of the components if I need anything. Beads, comb, that sort of thing. So it's just pinned to Barnaby so nicely, I didn't want to take it off. She looks so fancy. I did finish the Ariel skirt. It is a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. It is a fully lined pencil skirt. I did the mini skirt version. I did line it with just a non-static liner. There are no pockets, which makes me very sad, but I think now that I've done this once, I can put pockets in. But we have to go back and do a little bit because it is too big. So if I wear it for too long, it just starts creeping up my torso. So I'm going to, my plan is to just move the buttons in a little bit. The bottom is okay, so I just need to like taper the buttons. So I just need to pop those off and redo it, and then also go get some more buttons because I accidentally cracked 1 in half on Friday when I was putting my skirt on. So it's just some minor things I need to do. Other than that, it fits really nicely. It's got the high waist that I really like. I just need to fix because it's such a stiff fabric, it just sort of slides up when I sit down. It's a little weird, a little awkward. Other than that, I really like it. Came out pretty nicely. The sizing was pretty good. I usually have to take stuff in for my waist anyway, but such is life. And I did work on my, I believe it's called the Peter Pan collar. It's from, let me get the book. Let me just tell you what it actually is. It is a pattern from Gertie's new book for better sewing. Ooh, I'll just throw that everywhere. It is the Peter Pan blouse. I took off the collar and redid it. I'm gonna scoot you back up again and bring you in. Okay. So I redid the collar. It's still a little bit wonky, but not that bad. I think if I just tack it down, tack the collar itself down, it'll be okay. It looks like it's pretty centered. I'm over it. So I redid the collar. Ooh. Yeah, re-sewed everything down. So now I just need to go in and finish putting in the snaps. And I think I might leave it as just the snap. I might not put any buttons over it because this is a busy pattern. So I think the buttons might just be too distracting. And all these little ties are where the snaps are gonna go. And that's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. Everything else is basically done. It's hemmed, all the seams are finished. Well, it was beautifully done, now it's a disaster. All right, there we go. Yeah, everything else with this blouse is basically done. It is falling a little bit weird, but that just might be, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much, so. Oh, this popped off. That's what that noise was. That was a terrifying noise. Yeah, that's just a little bit of hand sewing, and then both of those are done, and we can continue on with sewing stuff. Yay! So excited. I have so many ideas now. And that is basically it. We have not spun in a hot minute, or really worked on our fleeces at all. I do have to finish combing out the Shetland fleece and get the other guy sent off. And no other sewing stuff has even started. I'm not sure when the next SEA event is going to be, so I haven't dug into any of my SEA fabric, but I do have a lot of ideas, especially for a green and white striped one. Thinking an Elizabethan jacket and skirt. Before we go into shop update section, I guess this is sort of like a yarn fairy section because the yarn fairies have dropped off some beautiful gifts. I have hair in my eye. Last week was TNNA and I did not go, but the owner of Knit New Haven went and she brought back a bunch of goodies. So when I went to go drop off the trunk show stuff, she picked up Spin Cycle's newest base and I squished it and told her it was beautiful and she let me take it home to play with and I'm so excited. So this is Spin Cycle yarns and I know Christy Glass just did like an interview mill tour with them and I fell in love with their stuff. It's their Dream State base, which is 100% American wool, superwashed in a worsted weight. It's 50 grams, 150 yards. And this is the Family Jewels colorway. So there's the back of the tag. And I have already hand wound it into a ball and it's just these beautiful greens and blues and turquoises. Oh, I love it. My plan is to do a colorwork cowl out of this. I have some like hunter green, if I have it available. It's in here. Oh, is this it? Yeah. I have this green yarn, so I think I'm gonna hold it with this and do a colorwork cowl because this is also a worsted weight, I believe. And it's Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. So I think they're gonna go beautiful together, but I just need to get some stuff off the needles because I have no cables left. So we're a little bit at a standstill here. So that is Knitting Fairy #1 and I love it. I love the way everything looks. I'm not a fan of barber poling, but I'm really liking the way this sort of blends into each other. I love the process that they do with their yarn. So if you ever have a chance to squish it, I notice it is on the pricey side. So even if you don't have the chance to buy it, just squish it. I think it's beautiful. And I believe someone's coming out with a pattern in this yarn soon. I would like to get at least one skein again and do have it be in a colorwork yoke, so then I only need the 50 grams, but I love it. It's so sweet. And that is it for our crafting bit. So if that was all you were here for, thank you so much for watching, and if a shop update and life stuff is not your bag, I will see you next week. If it is, let us continue. So shop update this week is going to be pretty small. A lot of our, everything we just newly dyed went to Knit New Haven, and we just got a shipment in of yarn. So we're gonna start slowly dyeing stuff for SSK. I will be putting it up in the shop. And then the week before SSK, I'll basically be putting the shop on vacation mode, however I do that with the new website. But we have a couple things going up. I found a whole bunch of like 3/4 and half skeins from either projects or dyeing experiments. So I put them into what I'm calling toy baskets, which is 200 grams of mini skeins. So the minis are ranging between 15 and 20 grams. And then there's a couple with like 10 grams in there. I think this one is the only one with some 10 gram mini skeins in there, but it's 200 grams of yarn per bag. So we're gonna be putting these up in the shop. We'll be putting these up in the shop in the kit section, and it's just going to be 3 available, randomly selected, maybe A, B, and C to make it easier. So you kind of know which one you're getting, although it is basically the same colors, but it's a mix of bases, it's a mix of colors, and they're perfect for color work or heels and toes, or if you've got like a granny stripe blanket. You figure if they're just gonna sit there, they might as well go to good homes. So I will have 3 of those going up into the shop. And I think they'll probably go up tomorrow morning. I probably won't wait till 3 p.m. to do it, so just keep an eye out at onceuponacorgi.com. We will have a shop update next week. I'm just waiting for some more yarn to come in. We are going to have a couple smaller updates while we're getting ready for SSK/summer is always a slower season, so it just makes more sense to put smaller batches in the shop unless it's a sweater's quantity and you need something, in which case you can always email me and I will let you know if I can do it or not. Usually I can. And that's that for shop update section. The rest of this is basically life stuff. I feel like this is a weird angle, but whatever. All right, the rest of this is life stuff. A couple of exciting things have been going on this week. Friday night, Mina was in town working on their apartment and getting it all set up for their plans for their New York apartment. So Friday night, we got the yarn coven together and went out to dinner with Kristen, Mina, Julie, Jacqueline, Denise, Carlene, and Emily, and it was super amazing to see them and to finally meet Emily in person. I was supposed to meet her at Vogue, and I never did because I didn't go. So it was just a delightful evening of delicious food and yarn talk and videos of Layla and just everything delightful that I missed in having our little knit group. We used to meet up almost like once a month, and then everything sort of, but I think we definitely need to plan more of that, for sure. So that was amazing. It was a quick city trip, in for dinner, out, home by midnight. It was great. And then, did I do anything else? That was really it for like the crafting adventure stuff. We went out to dinner for a friend for her birthday. Jake had 2 days off after like a 14-day work spree, so Monday and Tuesday I took as my weekend, and it was just amazing to sit at home and watch The Flash and just hang out with him. We did go to IKEA, because who doesn't love IKEA on a good weekend, and got me a dresser. I haven't had one since I moved out of my parents' house in 2013. The one I had at my parents' house was like a huge, like six drawer, like 6 foot wide giant antique thing that my grandpa had, and I was just like, I'm not lugging this up and down all the stairs of all of our apartments. So I've been making do with weird shelves and cabinets and stuff, but we finally decided to be an adult. We went and bought a dresser from IKEA, and August we will stain it and get new hardware. Jake's dresser needs new hardware too. His is like a real antique, probably 1940s, maybe older antique kind of thing we got from his dad. So all the knobs have like snapped from overuse, so we're gonna get his dresser new hardware, and we're gonna get matching hardware for my dresser and then stain my dresser to match his, so they kind of go together. Whatever, I don't care. So that was super exciting. I felt very adult and organized. So far it's staying organized instead of piling my clothes on the dog kennel. And I got a haircut. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of big news, but not really. It's a trim. It feels very short, but I know it still looks very long. Like, it's still a significant amount. It was down here. So we cut 7 inches off. It was all dead ends and needed to happen. And it was just too heavy. I was using 2 elastics to keep it up in a bun, and even that was not holding it. So we've got the summer layer off, and it feels so much nicer. So that dumb thing, but whatever. Yeah, it just feels nicer. It's lighter, doesn't hurt as much. Normally that would be a big thing because usually I just like bob it, but we did not bob it this year. We just did a mini hair purge. That's really been it. Jake went back to work today, so we're going back to work today, and kind of, yeah, doing that. We don't have any other big plans besides the shop hop in the near future. So we're just gonna lay low, work on our sewing, work on our knitting, and that's basically it. So I will stop rambling and let you get on with your week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come chat about crafting stuff with me, and we will see you next week. Bye.